So I just found out that my eBay account is just months away from being old enough to drink. I decided to drown my sorrows by putting on a hockey jersey from 25 years ago that still fits. Welcome, I'm the comics teacher. Thank you to all for coming to the channel and watching these reviews today. I got some good books lined up for you today. I don't have an ongoing series because I found 3 number ones at the comic book shop this week. That comic book shop that I go to is Alternate Reality, located on 111th and Kedzie, beautiful downtown Mount Greenwood in Chicago. If you are ever in the area, stop by Alternate Reality and tell Tim Comics Teacher sent you. So, the 3 books that I'm going to be talking about that came out this week. Number 1 is I decided to check out this new Black Widow. This is an awesome variant cover. Like, this is just a dope cover. You know, in all honesty, like, I really kind of picked this one just because this cover is so damn cool. This was written by Thompson, and right away, in, like, the second page, we get some, like, little allusions to some Hawkeye going on here, and it's kind of like the Fraction type Hawkeye that I fell in love with back in the day. Actually, it's like a few years ago that I haven't really talked a lot about on this, but I will be doing a review of that. So I got really excited when I saw this Hawkeye, and I was like, oh, this Black Widow is going to be cool. Captain America makes an appearance, but it's just okay. You know, I didn't lose my stuff over it. It's not enough Hawkeye for me in there. I mean, it probably shouldn't be. It's a Black Widow book. But I mean, yeah, I kind of missed the mark. I am not going to be putting it on my pull list, but if you're a fan of traditional Marvel comics and you're a fan of those characters, it's something you probably will dig. I'm happy I picked it up, though, just for this, like, really cool variant cover. It just looks so neat. Okay, next. This was an interesting one. This was from, it's from Dark Horse Comics, and it's called Spy Island, a Bermuda Triangle mystery. And this book kind of takes place on this island, this resort island in the Bermuda Triangle. And it's cool because the back cover is like an ad for this Bermuda Triangle resort, and it's like you'll see ghost ships and alien graveyards, and you may not come home alive. And I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. And it's from the team really of Chelsea Cain and Leah Miternique, and Chelsea Cain responsible for Man-Eaters, and which is pretty cool. I'm a big fan of Man-Eaters, and if you look in this book, there actually is a big party that is happening on one page, and on the coffee table of the party, you can see a nice little copy there of Man-Eaters on the coffee table of the party. So here's the basic premise, all right? This is an island where a bunch of spies live, and I don't know why they live on this particular island. Maybe I missed it. Maybe it's not have been developed yet, or I'm sorry, revealed yet, but these spies live on this island, this sort of resort island, and they're trying to find out information from each other, but it's also a place where tourists go, and they go to Spy Island in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle for these crazy adventures, and every time a boat shows up with stuff, people come too, and the spies line up, and they're like, are there more spies coming, are there tourists coming, and they try to figure out who is what, and it's kind of murders are happening and mystery is happening. I haven't really figured it out from the first issue, but this is probably the most interesting book I've read of the week of the number ones. And if I'm going to add one to my pull list, it might be this one. I haven't decided yet, but I think I might, just to give it one or two more issues to see if I dig it, and then maybe add it to my pull list or not. So this is Spy Island, Bermuda Triangle mystery. Check this one out, Dark Horse Comics. If the art as well, like the art is, it's very colorful. It's very colorful. It's very unique in its conception. I liked it. I found it very interesting. I was not bored. In the last page, I'm not going to show it to you, but it's quite a reveal. Like, it's a very shocking looking last page of this comic. So just for that, go pick that one up and check it out. The last thing I'm going to talk about that came out this week that I kind of dug, even though I'm not really a fan, is Doctor Who Time Lord Victorious, and that's Jody Houser. Jody Houser wrote this new Doctor Who book that came out this week. It's not that I'm not a fan of Doctor Who. I just I never really got into it, and I have a lot of friends that are Doctor Who fans, and I respect the fandom and what it is. It's just not my cup of tea, no pun intended, with it being British and all. But I've read 3 Doctor Who comics now, like number ones, and I've liked all of them. Like, I really have dug every Doctor Who comic I've read. Maybe comic books is the right medium for me to get into Doctor Who, but this one is pretty cool. You don't even have to have a huge background on Doctor Who to get into it, because the cover gives you the background and the character information you need to kind of get into this book. But if you are into Doctor Who, you're going to want to pick this up, and there's just this whole timeline of stuff that's coming on the back cover. And this is from Titan Comics. So Titan Comics got that Doctor Who license, so you can check that out. All right. Your nonfiction book this week. I just read this book today because I've heard all these great things about it, and I wanted to finally put it in the list of things that I had read. And it is called They Called Us Enemy, and this is by George Takei. And it basically is about his family's experiences being in internment camps, Japanese internment camps in America during World War II. They spent almost 4 years of their lives in these internment camps across the United States. And it is just an eye-opening story of what we did to Japanese Americans on American soil during the early 1940s. And, after the 1940s as well, when they were kind of released, they went back into a world that probably wasn't, or United States, I should say, that wasn't ready for them. This isn't something that is taught in schools, right? The idea that we just took all of these Japanese citizens, a lot of them not only American born, but like the children of American born Japanese citizens. So they'd like almost second generation Americans who were scooped up and put into these internment camps during World War II. And I mean, seizure of their assets and their house. And it's a very, once again, eye-opening history that we don't learn about in this country. There's a lot of those things. You learn these things and you get older and you're like, damn, this is crazy stuff. And this is one of those eye-opening books. I'm really glad I read it. It's a brilliant book. It is definitely classroom appropriate, even younger grades, right? There's a son of a bitch. It says son of a bitch in here, but it's kind of like in jest because they teach this little kid to say something to the guards that sounds like son of a bitch, and then he talks about what it is. So if that's okay with you, then you can kind of get away with this. They Call Us Enemy. Really, really brilliant take on a story that we are not that familiar with. Many of us, I mean, I know I wasn't. Some of us might be more familiar with it, but it's kind of eye-opening. All right, this one's for you. I have been waiting to talk about this one. This is Grant Morrison's We 3. I had a tweet this morning about how I was really depressed. I was depressed this morning because I thought about how 40 years of my life I was just eating animals, and that I just like had this really sad thought about all of the animals I've eaten over my lifetime, and it like really kind of hit me, and I was like, damn, that's really sad. I can't believe I ate all those animals in my lifetime, and I got really sad about them. So I want to talk about We 3, which is a book, and this is the whole graphic novel right here. It's not super long, but the government takes and basically weaponizes animals, and it makes them kind of sentient. Like they can talk in broken sentences, and they can feel and they can think, but they're also massive weapons of war. And what happens if they get loose? It's a cat, a rabbit, and a dog, and it's about them kind of breaking out of their constraints and trying to survive in a world that is not ready to have them on their own. And it's brilliant. It's brutal. It is definitely not for your classroom. There's blood and guts and gore all over this book, but this is one that is just emotionally powerful in the few pages that it is. It's a moving tale. All right, so that's We 3. And then your last book today, which is just kind of like, so you got one for you. You had one, the Takei book is kind of for your classroom, and it's nonfiction. And I'm just going to throw out another one here that's kind of all-encompassing, interesting book. This is from 2019. This is Frogcatchers from Jeff Lemire. Those of you know, if you follow me, I'm a big fan of Jeff Lemire, and I hadn't seen this book yet, and it was at the comic book shop, so I picked it up. Frogcatchers is this really non-linear story about life and death, and what it means to kind of be alive, and how our memories are tied to who we are as a people, and what our legacy means. It's going to probably mean different things to different people. When I read it, I kind of read it in like what I'm going through and what I've been through in life. And while there is probably some definitive things that happen in them that you can say, oh yeah, this means this and this means this, there is a lot of ambiguity. So Frogcatchers is a great read for those of you that enjoy a little ambiguity in your comics, where it ends and you're like, all right, I might need to read that again and kind of think about certain points of this and see how those things in the beginning kind of tied it all together. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Here's some great book recommendations for you this week. We got Jeff Lemire, Frogcatchers. Oh, by the way, that was Gallery 13. Gallery 13 Comics. I've talked about them a few times on this video blog. So that was Frogcatchers by Jeff Lemire. We 3 was Vertigo Comics. And then Top Shelf produced They Called Us Enemy. And then your 3 new books for the week were Time Lord Victorious, Doctor Who book from Titan Comics, Spy Island, a Bermuda Triangle mystery from Dark Horse, and then finally we had some new Black Widow #1 from Marvel Comics. So go pick all of those up, or some of those up. Let me know in the comments what you thought about those, and if you've read any of the past books, let me know. I am excited to see you on Wednesdays for my teaching and instructional videos on comics, and back here next Friday for a new review video. Comics teacher, have a great weekend.